Morning, everyone. This is Cassie Stumo. I am the Senior Digital Marketing Specialist here at EAC. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. We'll start off today with an introduction of EAC, and then our Technical Account Manager, Kirk Peterson, will show everyone easier ways to find things within Windchill, whether you're a frequent or infrequent user. Everyone gets a recording of the session pending any technical difficulties. There will be a short survey that appears once the webinar is over, so just hang tight once we're done and drop your questions in the queue along the way, and we'll answer those after the presentation. So first off, I'll tell you a little bit about who we are. What you see on the slide is our mission statement. We transform the way companies design, manufacture, connect to, and service their products. We've been partnered with PTC for over 20 years with experts in 22 areas of product development. We're located all over the US with our headquarters in Minneapolis. We offer our customers everything they need for product development, from CAD and simulation software for the full product design process. We offer software for managing service documentation and also software for managing product data. We assist with design and engineering projects and offer webinars and PTC certified training courses for continuous learning. We also implement the industrial Internet of Things and augmented reality into business strategies to jumpstart initiatives around digital transformation and connecting all things in your company. This slide is something else we offer. We offer Formlabs desktop SLA 3D printers. That includes the Form 3 for engineering parts and prototypes, the Form 3B for biocompatible dental and healthcare materials, and the Form 3L for larger SLA 3D prints. We try to make sure you remember that EAC is the company you need to partner with to get all of the technology you need at the forefront to make your team successful. I'll go ahead and hand things over to Kurt so he can get started.
Yeah, thanks, Cassie. Appreciate that intro. So my name is Kirk Peterson. I am EAC's Technical Account Manager for all things Internet of Things related, augmented reality related, and that falls within this EAC Productivity Apps, as that is done on the Navigate platform of ThingWorx. My background before coming to EAC, I've been here about a year now, is in the industrial automation space. So I worked with different PLC hardware platforms, software, SCADA systems, such like that. I actually supported Owens, Illinois in the bottering plant in Colorado. I see Owens, Illinois is on the call here, so welcome. And I also see that BAE Systems is on this webinar, and BAE Systems is a case study we use all the time to show exactly how augmented reality can impact the manufacturing world. So welcome to everybody, and what we're here today to talk about falls within really our remote workforce solutions, right? So these are obviously pretty troubling times and different times. Everybody's adjusting to a new normal, and EAC has been working with solutions to address remote workforces for about as long as we've existed. This falls within our webinar series, taking a look at how you can manage enterprise data remotely, collaboratively, and flexibly. So part of our bigger series surrounding that. So what we want to kind of address today is a very common disconnect that we see in industry, right? And that's the disconnect between the office, where engineering is commonly done, and the manufacturing space, where the engineering is put to use. And this is a particularly difficult area to address for most manufacturers because of the sheer size and complexity of the products and processes that they're responsible for monitoring, right? So basically what we see all over the industry is that engineering is being pressured from multiple sides, as they're the ones who are responsible a lot of times for passing information to and from the necessary parties. So engineering has access to all of these different information streams, so from the product side, on the IT side even sometimes, and they've got to flow it in a reasonable manner to a host of teams, right? So manufacturing needs this, purchasing needs this, the customer, different vendors, quality might need this information that engineering owns, but engineering doesn't want to be in charge of data management, right? Which is something that they commonly find themselves doing. They want to be in charge of engineering. So how do you avoid this choke point? If you don't avoid this choke point, engineering gets bogged down with this kind of thing, you run into some real dangers that your process is going to suffer. So if the information chain is broken from design through to manufacturing, you run into a lot of problems that will affect your bottom line, it'll affect your customer satisfaction, and it'll ultimately result in worse outcomes. So what is the answer that we're going to be investigating today um, in this information chain? So we posit that by using the product lifecycle management tool of Windchill to host and manage the actual data, you can now use the ThingWorx Navigate platform to view that data and transport that data to the necessary parties who need it without much overhead, without much work, and make it easy and flexible for everybody to do so. For those of us that are unfamiliar with PTC Navigate, some out-of-the-box use cases pretty standard are just taking a look at drawings, right? So we're in the phase of Industry 4.0 where we're moving away from paper and onto digital, right? This is a tool that you can use to do that. So you can view drawings, you can view documents, you can link different things, you can have light customization when you're looking at part structures. Those are some of the out-of-the-box uses that Navigate offers. So EAC took this tool that PTC has built, as a partner for a long time. We looked at their best traits and said, well, what else can we do with this, right? So we looked at that tool set and we said, what if we wanted better search tools? And what if we wanted to get to the same amount of information with far less clicks than Windchill requires, right? What if we want to give role-based views so that every manager or technician has exactly the information that they need and no more and no less, right? What if we could do some customization to make it easy for them? And then also another big highlight, what if we wanted to start engineering workflows immediately from the shop floor? So now we're not just flowing information from engineering on down, we're bidirectionally integrating the information flow from both ends, right? So it's coming up from the shop and it's flowing down from the office. So EAC took a look at these different use cases and decided, you know what, I think we can develop an app that can do that. So that's where EAC Productivity Apps came from. We had customers who used Navigate and liked it a lot, but said, hey, can it do this? And we took a look back with our architects and our engineers and said, yes, I think we can do this. So these are apps that, that build upon the functionality of PTC Navigate and then deliver more on top of that. So basically our form and function of building these apps is we quarterly rev them and add new features, right? This quarter, we've just added a change variance app that increases it. So we want this to be kind of a living product, right? We're constantly seeking feedback from customers. What do you want to see? How valuable is that to you? And if we get enough input from enough customers, we go and implement that. So most of the features that you see that we're going to walk through today are directly stemming from customer asks and need. So that's one of the benefits that you get with productivity apps is that it's going to be growing with you, and we're listening to your feedback therein. Let's talk about one real life use case of a customer of EAC's who uses productivity apps. So their previous state was that they were using redlining on paper drawings. So when manufacturing would have a change to make and they wanted to reflect that, roll that back up to engineering, they would make, a literal red markup on a paper product, send it back. And this system was costing them enormous amounts of money and time over the course of a year. So builders were spending up to 2 hours a day looking for their physical drawings, just locating and finding them. And then the information flow was getting broken all the time. So the red lines would not make it to engineering. The engineering would not turn around that change and then flow it back because they had no process to do that, right? So they basically just had red lines coming out their ears, and it was costing them a lot of money and costing their customers a lot too. What this customer did is they implemented using productivity apps to take their redlining out of a paper structure and digitized it, made it trackable, made it efficient. So what they're realizing over $1 million of savings just from the build process savings alone. So those 2 hours a day that the builders were using to find all this documentation, do that, they saved enough time that they're seeing over $1 million in savings. This is for a company of about 1,000 employees, so not a massive company, right? Not a tiny company either, but accurate data is being shared to the right people at the right times, and they saw an increased throughput from their manufacturing on down. So that's the kind of application that we're looking to show within productivity apps. And kind of without any further ado, I want to come out and actually walk through some stuff. So this is a base Navigate app. So remember when I talked about the out-of-the-box use cases, I talked about viewing drawings and taking out documents and so on and so forth. So what this is doing is in the background, this ThingWorx Navigate application is actually taking a look at the Windchill database. So all of this information, all of these drawings are coming directly out of Windchill. ThingWorx is the tool that we're using to take that out of Windchill into a web browser, and now I can take a look at drawings. You can see it was a couple of clicks. I have a recent page. I can navigate through different options. I can open up even Creo view and different options like that. So some nice functionality there, right? For those of us who are heavier Creo users or Windchill users, you know that it's not as easy as just clicking, searching part numbers, and finding things right off the bat, right? It's much more cumbersome and a lot more clicks to do it. If you don't need to know how to do that, that's fine. There's also some searchability functions within Navigate, right? So if I'm going to be looking at the same drawing number that we're going to be looking at there, right? Same exact stuff. Cool. Very good. Easy, simple. So again, these are some nice functions. You can also search for documents. So any documents, not just drawings and CAD models, but any documents associated with the same piece, right? So if I do the same search functionality that I did before for the same part number, now I've got a document view of the associated PDFs, Word documents, everything else that's aligned with that. That's great, and that's cool. But we're going to spend the majority of our day to day on the productivity apps. So these are, again, just same functions as the other pieces and parts that we talk about, but they've gone a little bit further. So I'm going to walk through most of these apps in a couple layers of detail. So let's start at the beginning, starting at the quick search. This is the first app that was developed. What this is really trying to show is that there's an easy Google type search functionality. So you'll notice that I'm not using any wildcards. I'm not using anything else besides just the couple of digits to deal with this part number. And I'm querying the Windchill database, and I get all of the associated parts with that. So I can filter if I want to look at just documents, just parts, just EPDM, just end items. So that's very easy. And I can also, when I click to view, I can view multiple document types at a single click, right? So now I'm viewing multiple different, assemblies, drawings. I can even throw a document on there. And they all just fill out in my window very easily. So if I need to do some comparison work, it's right there. If I wanted to download, say, a drawing, all I need to do is click this button, right? So what are some of the benefits of this? Number one, you don't need to know Windchill at all in order to use this, right? You just need to be able to hit that search term and hit click go, right? So it's very easy, it's very intuitive, and it's super simplistic. For those people who don't use Windchill on a day-to-day basis, it's very usable to pull this out in a different format. So that's the quick search. That's kind of that was one of the first passes. The way that this app came into being is that a customer came to us and said, we want our internally released drawing in this view, but we want our externally released drawing in this one, and then our revised external release in this one, right? So they had multiple documents that they wanted to see side by side, and nothing in Navigate can do that. Nothing in Windchill can do that. So we built this app for them to have side by side documentations, and we said, why not do it for all types of items, all types of attributes? So that's the quick search one. I'm going to take a look over at BoM Reports and take a look at this app here. This shows a little bit more of the customization that you can do on this. So if I was going to look for a specific part, say looking at a valve exhaust, I'm going to query that here, and this is going to show me all of the bill of materials that's associated with this assembly. So now, again, there's a couple of just quick and easy things that we can take a look at this off the bat. So the first is that, again, the searchability was there. I selected easily. I didn't have to do very many clicks to get to here at all. Now I can filter my selection of this bill of materials. So this one only has 6 components and not too much in work. But imagine this is hundreds of components, and you want to filter by which ones are in work, which ones are released parts, and which ones have been canceled or altered or anything like that. This is a quick and easy graphical way to start cutting and slicing your bill of materials with that. The flexibility of this platform is not only can I do it by state of work, I can also do it by, say, the cost. So if I had different cost items built in and I wanted to see what was the lion's share of my costs, I could do that by a filter here. You can also filter by name or quantity or so forth. So basically different ways to build in and export all of this stuff. So if you wanted to see, say, what a specific vendor had, right? So if you knew that a specific vendor had all of the parts and pieces coming from China, say, when there's a global pandemic and you might need to resource some things, this is a place that you could do that very easily and simply. So it's a step up. It's very readable. It's very intuitive. Taking a look at the next one, so we're skipping around just a little bit here. Part associations is another pretty common trope, another pretty common use case for what Windchill searches might be. So what this one is showing is that basically I can organize by soft attributes. So if these are attributes within the Windchill item that I'm taking a look at here. So same exact searchability that we see and same exact multi-view sections easily downloaded, but now I can it's another way to search easily and make sure the associations are there. So if you had an internal released, say, code name or process or a facility, you could soft code that into your part attribute, and then they would come out here in your easily searchable term. That would be easy and accessible for everybody. So again, just builds on those themes of searchability, accessibility, and so on. Where things get, I think, a little bit more interesting is on the quick access and task management pages. So these are a little bit more of the in-depth ones that I think really start to change the game, right? So we start in the same place, right? So I could type in this, I could also filter here. So again, it's a searchable and easily relatable object. Instead of actually typing something in, I can just select from a drop-down menu. And then once I've selected this assembly, I've got a couple of different views. So I can either look at a structured view, which is, kind of a standard tree view where I can look at all the different internal components based off of assembly, sub-assemblies, all the way down. I can also take a look at this in a where used view. So in this case, I can see that where this assembly is used in the greater going up the chain, right, as opposed to looking down at the sub-assemblies. So let's take a look at the structure, and let's kind of take a little look into this. So again, this view is giving us easy access to commonly held data. So if I wanted to take a look at this assembly, say, of the larger engine, I get a lot of the same information that I have before. So if I wanted to take a look at downloading a drawing or take a look at a CAD model, I could do that easily, open it up within Creo view. If I wanted to take a look at this all here, that's all there for you. Another thing I want to highlight is this cost element. So what ThingWorx, because it is a IoT platform, can do is actually do web requests and find out costing information. So costing information can come from ERP sources. It can come from Windchill. ThingWorx has the capability to communicate to either source to give you accurate costing as that changes. So again, with flexible work environments and moving deadlines, this can be really critical to know the accurate costing on a per part basis as things are in different modes and files of the build process. So that's a couple of those views. Taking a look at these buttons down here, basically, so we've got a lot of associated documentation that you can look at with this, and this is just boiling this down to one screen to take a look at all of this. Now we're starting to take a look at actually initiating work processes within Windchill. So if you have a problem report, a change request, or a variance that you want to initiate in association with this subassembly, all you'll need to do is click that button, and now we're starting a workflow within EAC Productivity Apps. This is huge, right? Because to do this within Windchill would be very cumbersome, and would also require a Windchill license and learning how to use Windchill. This one is going to be very easily startable, and I'm just going to call it, my blinker fluid is low, the requester is Kurt P. My description is, we're going to just leave that blank for another. It's associated with this item. I can add attributes onto it. I can also categorize it. So blinker fluid being low is definitely, I'm thinking, a product improvement, and it's of medium priority. And I can go ahead and submit that. Now I've got a new problem report that's added within Windchill. So if I clicked into this, I could see that it's active in Windchill, and I could also attach documentation to that, right? So this is where the customer using redlining comes in. This is how they started to change to move their process from a paper-based option over to an electronic option. So now that that problem report is filled out, if I take a look in my filter here associated with the same subassembly, I can see that it's reported on here. It's blinker fluid, it's made by me, it's got the time and date, it's medium and high. So that's all very useful, pretty important stuff. So some of the other things that I want to highlight, you can also download or view different pieces directly from this screen as well. So however you use the apps, you see that there's some functionality copied between it, but this is where really however you like to slice your pie comes into play. So now that I've started that, initial problem report within my quick access app, let's go over to task management. So in this storyline, right, what we're showing here is that myself as a engineer is now going to look at all of the problem reports that have come from myself as the production or manufacturing engineer on the floor. So the manufacturing engineer has initiated the problem report, and now me, the engineer, or me, the supervisor, is going to go take a look at all of the different tasks that have been assigned on this bill of material to me. So a couple of different things I can do. I can filter by either my tasks or all of the tasks within the organization. I can filter by open ones, or I can filter by all tasks that have been created everywhere. I'm going to look just for now at my tasks, and we see a couple of things that are familiar to us, right? So we can again filter graphically by status, by role, by other things. So this is again another very quick way to size and chunk bills of materials, and the Windchill users among us know that this is not an easy thing to do within Windchill, right? You would have to do a customized search, even if you just wanted to look at, a total, task list associated with some project. It would be very difficult to, or at least cumbersome, to make a report, a custom report to look at this, and it would be not very easy at all to be able to filter back forth between all of these different aspects. I can also, use this graphical slicer to take a look at the roles. So if I wanted to take a look at all the submitter initiated workflows as opposed to the variance author, right? Different roles, I can do this. So I can see who is doing these, and I can also see what they're assigned to. So if I were to say select a task, let's go out of my tasks. Let's go ahead and search for that blinker fluid one that I started. So we got a problem report, so I'm going to select it. I can see that it's associated with the correct assembly that we checked it in, and I can see that it's, the description, the time, and everything else here. If I wanted to accept this, right, so I could I could accept that into my workflow, and then I could go and say I went and topped off the blinker fluid. I could go ahead and complete that. So if we go ahead and do a refresh on our window here, and we look at just the closed ones, or just the open ones rather, the well, it looked a bit of a problem there, right? Look at all the different ones. It made this instance 4 times. I don't know if that was a fat finger by me or not. It interrupts my demo, but I can show that I take that and then reset it, and it's fixed there. The blinker fluid is out now. So just showing if you want to do mass translates of accepting and then putting out the problem reports, you can do that. You can complete that very easily. So that's some of the power that the task manager gives, right? It gives administrators and project managers and engineers a big view into all of the ongoing tasks, and it gives them tools to slice and dice how they're going to prioritize those tasks, how they're going to solve it in a super easy graphical way to take a handle on that. So that's some of the cool things about that. Oh, one thing I didn't take a look at. What you'll notice is that when when I don't have anything selected versus when I do, these fields will populate, right? So a comment section, if I want to leave comments, you got this widget section, then a bunch of empty space here. This is a flexible tool that you can use to build your own views. So if you wanted a different graphical slicer and you wanted it centered, we can support that. If you wanted some additional information, say a list of hard, attributes associated with it populated here, you can also do that. So there's some customizability to this that you can do. Moving on down the chain from the task management aspect, we've got several apps that are specifically just for the applications that were managed within the quick access app that we saw and the task management app. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up problem reports here. So problem reports is, again, just an extended view. If I didn't want to take a look at that whole task list, and if I just wanted to hone in on the problem reports such, that's what we're looking at with this. So all of my problem reports here, open or closed, assigned to me or not, can be viewed within this window. And it's got a lot of the same things that we saw in the other apps. So it's got graphical slicers to quickly and easily dice what we're taking a look at from a point of view, right? That's based on what category it was, right? You can also filter by what priority it is. So again, a lot of flexibility, whatever you want this category to be and whatever filters you want to assign to this, you can have. All it takes is filling in this field. You can also select by date, right? So if we wanted to take a look at, what's been done from April 8th all the way to today and refresh it based off that, we've got actually none because we've accepted and completed all the ones. If I did a little bit more of a window, now we finally have a few. So again, this is all about just getting the right information to the right people. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we're trying to make the wheel as easy to handle for that specific person as possible. So that's the reason if we take a look at this app versus if we take a look at, say the change request app, we're trying to make it as easy as possible for this person to view this. And if they just want change apps, they can go there. If they just want problem reports, they can go to that one. If they just want to calculate variances and monitor that aspect, they can go to that one too. Again, you'll notice that if I refresh a page and then select different, I've got populated information. This is an example of using custom widgets to put additional information in. And from here, if I go ahead and double click that, now I can view this part in Windchill. Everything that we're looking at is coming directly from Windchill, and everything, if we need to, we can go into Windchill from EAC Navigate and do so. The point that we're trying to make here is we're trying to make the clicks easy where they're easy within productivity apps. But if you need the flexibility, and if you need to really dial into, say, looking at related objects or make a change within Windchill, you can easily do so as well, right? So it's multi-factor. It's meant to reduce clicks, both for the knowledge that it requires to make those clicks, but also for just the ease of use, right? Whether you know Windchill or not, these apps will be useful for you and valuable in terms of saving you time and ultimately money. So the last thing that we really can highlight on this is the tailoring that you can do. So you'll notice that I'm an admin and I can see these little tailor icons above each app. So if I was to do any one, say I did the quick access app, this is where, the tailoring can really step in. So whatever you want to see based off of either the role of the login that's associated with it or the different options, right? We can change that and save it from here. So if you wanted to change what these slice and dice, grid options were, you can select that from here. If you wanted to add custom widgets, you can do that from over here. If you wanted to, change your logo, from ThingWorks to your logo or do something, you can do that on this one. Not only can you do that for each specific app, you can also do it for all of the apps at once, right? So this is where if you wanted to, say, give information to a vendor, but you didn't want them to see your entire bill of materials, you only wanted them to see the bill of materials that come from them or that you would need to purchase from them. That's where you can create a role based off of the vendor role and then give them access to only the information with that soft attribute based off of the part associations app, right? So these are the kind of things that you can start thinking about using these tools for, is really accurately and immediately delivering the information to these different components, right? So all of a sudden you're not dealing with, um, just in an open or shut gate, right? You're able to exactly tailor what you need to give to a vendor or give to a role, right? Be it manufacturing or engineering or different components of the business and so forth. If you want to expose those in a different way, you can do that via the role-based access here. So that's EAC apps, right? So again, we are just building off of the templates that ThingWorks Navigate has built, right? So we took a look at their use case of looking at drawings and said, that's awesome. What if I want to look at more drawings? What if I want to look at drawings easier? What if I want to look at documents? What if I want to look at, on and on and on, right? What if I want to manage all my tasks for my team? What if I wanted to take a look at an entire structure and where used and whatnot? What if I wanted to start workflows directly from my Navigate here? All of those answers lie really within EAC Productivity Apps. So that's what we had to present today. Hopefully this was valuable for you, and please encourage you to reach out with any further questions or clarifications from this short presentation. And I will stick around to let Cassie give a goodbye survey at the end of this. Appreciate your input on that. And as always, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you again, Kirk, for the presentation and the demo on our EAC app. I hope everyone on this call learned something new today. The recording will be published on our YouTube channel later on today, and I'll be sending everybody the link to the recording in your follow-up email, along with some other resources for our apps. Just a reminder that that survey will appear once we shut down the webinar. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.